thing, especially for artists and art supporters, there's a quote by Keats that he wrote shortly before he died in a letter. It was a letter to Fanny Braun, a woman he was in love with, and he said, "I have left no immortal work behind me, nothing to make my friends proud of my memory, but I have loved the principle of beauty in all things, and if I had had time, I would have made myself remembered."
It's by Keats.
As artists, we doubt ourselves. It's like, but who knows? Maybe they'll be reading our stuff or watching our stuff or appreciating our stuff in 200 years, though it may not seem like it at the time. So this poem is to Keats. It's called Dear Poet. Dear Poet, who did not waste time in the chains of his own dramatics, as too many of us have done, whose preoccupations with death were brought about by the blood more in his throat than in his heart, the mortality of his own white cheeks. You were not drunk. You were not spinning idiocy into adventurous exaggeration. You just living in whatever garden would deign to open a gate to you, whatever journal would be blackened by your words. Light our ways, good sir. Stay close. Help us all to recognize the beauty you treasured, that we, as you, might be so unremembered. That's what you And then I'll go to pretty much the opposite place. This poem is called It Is 1997, Karaoke Bar, Des Moines. Tonight's the night you choose to fist fight Tom Jones. You write his name on a piece of paper above "It's not unusual." Hand it to the DJ, KJ, whatever the word is, and you sit. You deal with the whippet of it. You deal with the sight of Rick Astley, delivered in unironic flaunt. You deal with "You Give Love a Bad Name," partially crooned, partially screeched like some Bon Jovi centaur has crashed into the room before they announce your name, which you have not aliased, which could be a mistake. You hope-filled son or daughter of hope-filled parents, you were somebody's dream. You give new truth to lines like, "It's not unusual to see me cry. I want to die." And it is glorious, even better than your "How Deep Is Your Love," spoiler alert, not very, that you gave as a gift to a different karaoke bar last week. Someone takes an obligatory ride in Little Red Corvette. Someone centipedes a different Bon Jovi beast together. Someone disregards human decency and sings "We Built This City on Rock and Roll." Then, one of the regulars, dressed in a style you can't quite put a name to, saunters up with attitude, stands in that spotlight like it is their main source of nourishment, stares you down as he takes that song back. He not unusuals the crap out of it. Like some alternate incarnation of Mike Tyson, he bites the second verse's ear off. Gilligan Chic. That's the name for how he's dressed. He takes this serious. He's there to lay hands on this song like Jesus, karaoke, Christ, as if Tom Jones once saved him from drowning, or wolves, or being shipwrecked on some uncharted desert island. Bully to you, my good man, you want to say. You have bested me in something almost as ridiculous as competition poetry. Now sit your white pants butt down. The DJ, KJ, VJ hasn't even gotten to my slip for Delilah, or she's a lady. Buckle up, son. This was only ever round one. Two more poems. This is a short one. I'm working on a very strange manuscript about midlife crisis in Disneyland. And some of the poems are based on the intersections where different parts of the lands of Disneyland. Disneyland's the California one, not the Florida one, for those confused. Florida. And so where the lands all meet, I was writing some poems on some of those. And so where Fantasyland meets Tomorrowland, there's like the Matterhorn Mountain, which is obvious. So I don't want to cover that too much. But like there's this little like shack where they sell turkey legs. And so that's, for some reason, what I was drawn to write about. So this is called At the Corner of Fantasy and Tomorrow. There are turkey legs for sale. They're huge. You think you're that hungry. You're not, dude. This is the sort of decision you carry from land to land, from popcorn cart to churro stand. There's a reason the prince and princess are never shown grown fat. Someone types happily ever after and just leaves it at that. All right, and this last poem, this is a poem, it lists a lot of names. You may not know all of them. A bunch of them are Nebraska poets. A few of them are national poets. But this, we're not quite to the right season yet, but this is called Reflections While Flipping Channels Between the Two Televised Football Games on a Sunday Afternoon. Now, stop. Imagine the universe, green-hued sun or whatever, where this is poetry. Where Monday morning papers put a poet, mouth open, arm rising on the front page, and in its own section there are statistical landscapes ranking metaphors and similes. Top 10 rundowns of the season's best opening and closing lines, investigative articles on the billions of hours of lost office productivity due to online fantasy poet leagues. There's a big, burly man in a headset somewhere weeping and waving his hands about Sharon Olds before four sportscasters in matching tweed blazers slap each other on the back and stage an analytical replay of a Walt Whitman stanza with unseen markers drawing arrows and lines across the screen. Good God, give us Las Vegas betting on Twyla Hansen and Danny Solis. Give us cable channels full of full trumpet soundtrack documentaries and gravel-throated narration over film of Robert Frost. His pages blowing away at that auspicious presidential inauguration. He stands lost as a gray leaf until he raises his head and the trumpets swell. And he shows us how he is Robert, America's poet, Frost. Things like that. Where Sarah McKinstry Brown runs for governor of New York, where Zedekiah Poindexter and Billy Collins spend years in the Senate, where there are injury report websites that mainly mention sore throats, laryngitis, and cramped hands, where Ted Kooser is on the American Express commercial, Mark Smith is on the Wheaties box, every school kid wants to write with the new ink clefcorn pen, and you can see William Carlos Williams shorts on eBay for more money than you'd earn in a year. Man, woman, and child, wouldn't that just knock them into the aisles? That's the world I see for an instant, as a crumple of bodies on Channel 3 smears one another into the greenest grass. 2 minutes to go. Our team down by 1 million. I put pen to paper and still play this to win.